Welcome to Healthier and Happier Humans, episode 41. I'm Ashton McGee, and I am super excited to be here with Cathy Murphy. Cathy, thank you for being on the show.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I'm excited.
Yeah, we have a lot to dive into, and I am so curious, so I'll be asking a ton of questions. But first, I'd love for the audience to get to know you a little bit better. So could you tell me a little bit about, who you are, your background, all that good stuff?
Sure. Yeah. Well, Cathy Murphy, and I have been a military spouse for over 32 years. I have a daughter who's 21 and a son who just turned 18 on Monday. So soon we're going to be,
Empty nester.
well, one of my, yeah, what'd you say?
Empty nesters, almost?
An empty nester. I was trying to think of, my friend has a daughter who calls it free nesting. Free
Okay.
nesting. I was like, that was fun. But yeah, our son's getting ready to go to college, and my husband and I are trying to decide what we're going to do next. Yeah, and my background is in nursing. I actually was a labor and delivery nurse before we had children. And once we had our daughter 21 years ago, I decided to take a break from nursing because my husband got PCS orders, and we ended up moving when she was about 7 weeks old. And it was a 10-month school assignment, so I didn't work that year. And then we moved again, and that was a 10-month assignment, so I didn't work that year. And it seemed like we moved about every 10 to 20 months for the first 12, 14 years of her life. And so, yeah, I was a stay-at-home mom, a volunteer military spouse, and I really loved it. I loved every minute of it, but I was anxious to get back into work, and actually business fell into my lap, and I decided to change routes and ended up becoming a certified health coach.
I love it. So, as a health coach, what is your kind of niche specialty? Where do you focus?
Yeah, well, I had an opportunity to travel for the VA for 2 years as a wellness educator for caregivers of wounded warriors.
Oh,
And so that became really a passion of mine.
mhm.
Worked for them for 2 years and learned so much just about the needs of the caregiver. And when funding was cut, my heart was broken because I just felt like that was a community that really needed support.
Yeah.
But I really believe that that was a great opportunity for me to learn the needs and create something that hasn't been existing for them. So I spent 4 or 5 years volunteering in the DC area, working with different organizations that had caregiver wellness programs like Blue Star Families and the WTUs, or the Warrior Transition Units out at Fort Belvoir and Walter Reed, just providing fun, interactive wellness events and getting to know caregivers. And then I had an opportunity to walk through the Rosie Network entrepreneurial program. It was a 16-week program. I thought I was going to create just a personal health coaching business. And what came out of it was my passion to serve the caregivers. So I'm actually just finishing up this week a 16-week test group, and it's been really awesome.
Oh my gosh, that is so incredible. And I mean, when we first met, that was something that we connected on. Seeing that gap, that need in our military community and being called to fill it. I have a very similar kind of mission with women in the military and health, and I just love hearing how you're working to do that. It's so
Thank
inspiring.
you. It's been a calling, but I think when you finally find something that you love and a community that you really feel called to serve,
Yeah.
everything falls into place. Tons of different things that I wasn't expecting or even knew what to expect, or were just falling into place. So I just feel like it was exactly what I had been prepared for all these years to do, and been really a blessing on my life as well as the community that I get to serve.
Oh, I love that. So I'm curious. I know in our talking, you mentioned that a part of your health journey is actually being introduced to juicing. Can you tell me a little bit about how you got introduced to that?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I'm actually partnered with a company that is called Juice Plus, but it's not actual juicing. It's a company that's on a mission to inspire healthy living, and what they have been able to do is take the concept of juicing, but
Mm-hmm.
improve it. So we actually have a way to bridge the gap in nutrition by growing plants, fruits, and vegetables till they're ripe on the vine and be able to put all that concentrated nutrition into capsules or chewable gummies. And
Mm-hmm.
that was something that I was introduced to in 2012. Our son was struggling with allergy and asthma. And I was looking for ways to help him because he was on 7 different medications
Oh my God.
and not really getting better. And,
Mm-hmm.
my mama heart was really concerned about the long-term implications. Plus, he just wanted to play football. And half the time he was on the couch, and not being able to go to school. And it was just a struggle during that time of our life. So I went to Google and looked up, how do I help, nutrition and allergy and asthma. And what I was really finding was that plants have a great power in terms of anti-inflammatories. And so I knew my 10-year-old wasn't getting enough fruits and vegetables in his diet. So I started trying to juice, bought a juicer. I was blending. I was putting fruits and vegetables and meatballs and in spaghetti sauce and anything kids would eat, smoothies.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't enough. And so when I was introduced to this healthy living community, that's when things really changed for us because I really discovered that although I was a nurse and in healthcare, I didn't really connect the dots between nutrition and disease. And I went to a conference and heard a doctor say that 75% of diseases are preventable and reversible with nutrition and healthy habits. And I was watching my son actually be that statistic. Like he, over a period of 3 to 4 months of making all these changes, was
Mm-hmm.
able to wean off of all of his meds. And I was like blown away. And I just feel like that happened in my life so that I could see. And that's really what created such curiosity for me to go and get certified as a health coach because I wanted to learn more about nutrition and how to help people, really help people.
Yeah.
I just, there's not a lot of time to do education in the hospital. And I really love that. I love getting to educate people because I learned so much. I feel like everyone needs to know this. So.
Yeah. So I'm curious, coming from the more traditional, like Western medicine background, when you first started looking into a more holistic approach, were you like all in, like, yes, let's go? Or you're like, I'm a little skeptical,
Very
it's kind of hippy
skeptical.
dippy.
Yeah. Yes. And as a military member and spouse, we're surrounded by amazing people and they all have different talents and expertise. And I happen to be surrounded by an amazing group of healthy mamas, I would call them. They were all, in fruit and vegetable co-ops. I'm like, oh, that's just too much work for me, doing elderberry juices and crazy things I thought at the time. But I
Mhm.
think it was God really just leading me down this path of understanding, and introducing me to a better way. And I'm so glad because really as a child, my mom used to go to the Chinese herbal medicine doctors for us when we were kids.
Yeah.
I lived in San Francisco near Chinatown. And so if we got sick, she would go down to Chinatown to the herbal medicine doctor and they would put all these dried plants into a brown paper bag and she'd come home and boil it and make us drink it. And I'd be like, ooh, it would be miraculously well. But, I lost that touch with that, I think, as I got older and into medicine and
That's
now I'm
so
back.
interesting that you like had that, you were raised with that. I actually recently interviewed a gal that she's finishing her last year of med school as a naturopath. And her specialty is in like Eastern medicine.
Mhm.
And she's like, yeah, like all the herbs I had, and
Mhm.
and everything is heart centered, and
Yes.
account for mental health and total health. And I was like, it's it makes me wonder, like, just why there's such a gap, right? Like,
Hmm.
it it seems so much of holistic health seems very intuitive to me. Like, well, but it should be intuitive, but we're being kind of almost taught or trained out of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right. It was almost like, when this country evolved and, industrial revolution took place, all the fast food thing, everything became fast over the decades.
Yeah.
And generations just became used to the new and improved, all these new things, and got away from the basics, the basic science of food nutrition.
Yeah.
What was grown in the ground was created for our bodies to heal itself, to reproduce healthier new cells, to detox ourselves, all of the basic health practices that our grandparents were used to before, like their grandparents taught them,
Yeah.
have been lost. I'm excited because I feel like it's coming back. I think the newer generations are discovering that
Mhm.
that is the way.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. I think it also pairs nicely with, sustainability practices. And because when you realize that you kind of need the earth to like
mm,
live, you treat it a lot better. It's just like with our bodies, when we respect and love ourselves, we end up, our actions reflect that.
mhm. It's interesting that you say that, when we respect and love ourselves. That's a conversation I've been having with friends recently, since, we've been all living through a really difficult time in this world.
Yeah.
And, something that I really believe in is just, loving people. And in my faith, I believe in loving God, and I believe in loving people as ourselves. And that's something that is, that I had a conversation with a friend who said, the problem is that so many people don't know how to love themselves. They're overworked and overstimulated, and oftentimes raised in environments where people are judging them, so they turn around and judge others, and then it's hard to really know how to love ourselves. And so if we don't know how to love ourselves, it's hard to love others, and
Absolutely.
then hurt people. And
Absolutely.
so I'm really excited about what you and I are doing, because I feel like it gives us opportunities to live in communities and really just love on people and show them how to love on people, love on ourselves, and love on others, through food and through community and through just, connections.
Yeah.
Relationships are everything.
Oh my gosh, I totally agree. I
Mhm.
just got a message from one of my clients like last week that I was asking her about like her biggest takeaway so far, and she was like, I'm being nice to myself.
Yay.
I'm saying nice things to myself, and I was just like, oh, it just hits like right here. It's like, oh, this
Right.
is why I do this. I love my clients. I love doing this.
Mhm.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Okay, so um, I do want to ask more about kind of the supplementation and how, because I find, especially with like things that seem like, kind of off
Mhm.
the beaten path, or a little woo woo or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
or I mean, just right now, there's so much information out there that people get overwhelmed so quickly. So I'd really love for you to break down, like, if people are looking into supplementation or like, more like in that realm, where should they start? What should they be looking for as far as ingredient standards, like all that kind of good stuff?
Right. For me, I wasn't a big supplement taker before I, became a part of this company that I'm with.
Mhm.
And, but what attracted me to it was really the ingredients. The ingredients were really just whole food, real foods, and there were no artificial ingredients and no preservatives.
Yeah.
But I would say the number one reason I have been with this company for 8 years is the research.
Mm.
And I find that when I look at something new, I'm looking for the research. I'm looking for, who's done the research and how widely it's done, and what kind of practices were those research. So my company actually is the most researched nutrition in the world. The Juice Plus company has done research. Well, actually, universities around the world have studied this nutrition on all ages, pregnant mommies and children and elderly and oncology patients and special forces. And this has been done around the world. So that's the part that I think really validates it for me. And one of the biggest studies that we have done has been around children. um, Over 1 million children have been placed on the Healthy Starts for Families study. And that's where children actually get free fruits and vegetables. And, for just the responses of, how are your children doing in terms of sicknesses and medications and doctor visits and missed days of school. And, my son is one of those statistics that has been able to take less medications over time, has gotten, has been sick less in his lifetime now.
That's amazing.
And, those are the things that really are important to me, especially right now with with the health crisis that we are in. I think it's so important that people are focused on getting good nutrition into their body. And
Mm.
even those who think that they're eating well need to bridge the gap in those nutrients, because, we should be eating 7 to 13 half cup servings or fist sizes of fruits and vegetables every single day.
Oh my
And
God.
I don't know about you, but I try sometimes, like I'll do salad in jars so I can have salads every day.
Mhm.
But then you get tired of salads,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so it doesn't happen all the time. There's seasons when I tried it. Summers is I can get tons of fruits and vegetables in,
Hmm.
but
I'm like
there's just
obsessively eating peaches right now.
yeah.
Peaches and
But
berries.
then what happens is you end up with like single. Are you
Sorry.
okay?
I just saw there's a spider behind me and I'm afraid of spiders. It's like jumping off of the wall.
Oh goodness.
Why would you do this to me, spider? This has never happened to me. Don't mind me. I'm just going to like
Okay, get it.
go away.
Remember, you're bigger than the
It's like a
spider.
crazy jumping spider. Okay.
Oh,
Well, that'll be entertaining for anyone watching this. Okay, I'm good.
you better. Okay, breathe.
It's just like he was just. It was. I like them so far. I named them. I named them Steven. All spiders are Steven because it's
Steven.
yeah. I don't know. It's just a very like. It's a way to take the fear out.
Yeah, that's
And you may
awesome.
not have like a recurring nightmare that there's spiders in my bed. So yeah. Um, we're good.
Did
Okay.
you get
I'm
it?
sorry.
Okay.
Yep, I'm good.
Okay, good. Little entertainment here. That's awesome.
Okay. So you were saying about not getting enough fruits and veggies and
Yeah,
nutrition in your day.
yeah. So yeah, you were just saying you're really eating a lot of peaches, and I think I find that when I talk to people about what they're eating on a daily basis, or if I have them write out their food log, and I'll see trends. People
Yeah.
eating pretty much the same fruits and vegetables every day, with
Mhm.
maybe an occasional change in season, which would be great if people ate within seasons.
Yeah.
But the variety is what's the challenge, is
Mhm.
getting the variety and the rainbow of colors of all the different colors of fruits and vegetables every day is
Mhm.
just really hard. It's
Yeah.
challenging to do that without supplementing. And every different fruits and vegetable under the rainbow has different phytonutrients. And
Mhm.
they're created in such a way that they, work synergistically together.
Yeah.
And so that these are the things that I learned when I go to conference with this company, and I'm kind of geeky about it. I just love the science of fruits and vegetables. It's kind of crazy, but watching it really impact lives. Being able to watch different people with all kinds of health concerns tell me, they're noticing decreased pain or improved labs, or to the point where their doctors are saying, we're going to wean you off of medications for their diabetes or their fibromyalgia or whatever it is. What I always tell people is fruits and vegetables have been created for our bodies to utilize optimally so that our bodies can actually do the work. Our bodies will do the work to help detox and cleanse and heal and do if it's been fueled properly.
Yes.
That's the key, is the fueling,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I love that. And I think too right now, I truly hope, and I've seen mixed messages, right? Some people are like, oh God, like I need to lose my quarantine 15 or whatever, and like making it about weight loss. But I really, really hope that right now people are finally realizing that like a healthy lifestyle is
Mm-hmm.
not about looking a certain way, right? Like it's about your immune system and your body's ability to heal itself and
Mm-hmm.
feeling good. Like I firmly believe that most people go through life not knowing how good their body can actually feel.
Right.
Like you think that you have to have aches and pains as you age. Wrong. You don't.
No. No, and it's interesting because I know how my body can feel when I'm really eating well.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I make choices to eat crappy, like it was my son's birthday and graduation this weekend, we had a small little community, neighborhood gathering.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like crap the last couple of days because I ate the cake and I ate the pulled pork and the buns and all the stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been struggling. And the thing is, like you said, I think people just get used to that, they think it's normal, and so the abnormal becomes normal for people until they discover how they can really feel if they take a 10-day, trial of just cleaning up their diet, getting
Oh
more
yeah.
hydration, moving
Yep.
their body, getting good sleep, doing some, stress management, and eating tons of fruits and vegetables. Those are some simple things that everyone can do, all ages. Kids can do it with their parents.
Yeah.
Elderly people can, everyone. You don't have to have any magic pills.
Mhm.
You can just start with some simple, healthy changes.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is it's like just starting somewhere, right? I think people
Mhm.
get so afraid because they're like, oh, I have to be restrictive forever. I can never eat cheese again. And I'm like, listen, like if you told me I could never eat cheese again, like ain't gonna happen,
No way.
you
No
know?
way.
But, like going back to kind of cleaning up your diet and learning, right? Like
Mhm.
I like after making sure I've been eating cleanly, I in fasting, right? I I
Mhm.
food tested different types of dairy. I tested cow's milk versus sheep and goats. Guess what? Like cow's milk gives me heartburn, sheep and goat's milk, no problem. So I'm like, cool. I know what my body has an inflammation response to. And
Mhm.
do I still eat cow's milk sometimes? Like cheese sometimes? Sure. But if I have a choice, I usually pick goat. And like, there you
Mhm.
go. I still get my cheese and my body's not mad at me. Hooray.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the coolest discovery when you can actually do something like that. And I never really thought much about doing that until I was surrounded by this healthy community that, they were doing these, I call them fun, health challenges now, because, and back then I didn't think they were so fun. I'm like, what? I can't have coffee or dairy, or sugar? What? you know?
Oh man.
But I decided, I made a commitment for a 10-day challenge, and it was rough. I will say, headaches and just, longing for my coffee.
Those detox
But
symptoms.
yeah, my body was detoxing hard.
Mhm.
But as I did it over and over, month after month, I would do these 10 days just to clean up. What I found was, like, I started making healthier choices automatically. Like, I just didn't crave the junk anymore once my body started cleaning up. And like month after month, I think my body was cleansing more. Like the first month, it's not all gone. The second month you tried, it
Yep.
just starts getting less and less, and your body just starts to feel more energized. I slept better, and And what I noticed is like my joint pain was not as, like as you
Yeah.
get older, these things start to happen because of, I call it compounding crap. It's like when you compound the toxins over the decades,
Mm-hmm.
it starts
You're
to show up.
not taking care of your mitochondria, so it's not, cleaning things up. And so, yeah, no, it's totally true. Yeah, it is really incredible how I think ultimately people don't realize how much power they have to change how they feel. And it doesn't have to be scary, you know.
Exactly. Yes, and I think it's important that when people decide to make that decision to make changes, that they find a buddy,
Mm-hmm.
or several buddies would be better, like a community that can lead
Mm-hmm.
them through some
Yeah.
healthy habit changes and keep each other accountable, because you do better if you tell people you're doing it.
Yeah. Or work with a
So
coach.
easy to jump off if you're all by yourself. No one's going to know I'm going to just have all this junk again. And
Mm-hmm.
then, and the sad thing is when people go on these roller coaster diets, I think they end up worse off in the end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Doing way more harm than good, damaging their metabolism, their immune system. Absolutely. I agree 100%. Well, Cathy, this has been such a fun conversation. Do you have anything that like we didn't quite touch on that you want to add before we kind of start wrapping things up?
Well, lately my big thing has been really around just the quality of life, and the circle of life. In my caregiver community, we've been talking a lot about things that, well, we started the program really focused on nutrition and fitness, basically, healthy habits. Those are the things people think of when they think of health and wellness or health coaching, is like, what do I need to eat and how often do I have to work out?
Yeah.
And but what we discovered in the last 16 weeks is that health is more than that. Health is about it's about spiritual health, and it's about mental health,
Mhm.
and it's about physical health, which includes the nutrition and the fitness, but also financial health, and just purpose and passion is another. I don't know if that's a help, but I feel like purpose and passion, when people have a purpose or discover their purpose and their passions, and they're actually working on a daily basis to hit goals that really fire them up, like really they get excited about getting up every morning to do, that creates really great, that circle becomes healthier all the way around. And when any part of that circle of health gets stressed, I think it impacts the next, right? When our spiritual health is not well, our mental health can kind of start to decline, which impacts our desire to focus on our physical health, which impacts our ability to create financial health, which impacts our, desire to pursue purpose and passion. Like it's just
Absolutely.
something that I feel like is important that we are all focused on improving, doing some personal development, getting connected to a coach that can help lead you on the journey that you want to be on.
Yes.
I have really invested a lot in coaching, and I feel like that's been something I didn't really know about the first 4 decades of my life. And
Yeah.
so really, it has really made a difference in my happiness, overall happiness. So
Absolutely. I totally agree. And it's yeah, it really cracks me up actually. My husband's like, "What do you do again?" He like doesn't quite get the coaching thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, and I know you've seen it, like seeing the transformation in your clients, like
mhm, so awesome.
it's life changing. Absolutely. Um, Thank you so much. That is such a beautiful way to close this out, is just that circle and that holistic approach and view, and understanding that everything's connected. So where can people find you if they want to learn more about you?
Well, they can email me at healthylivingnavigator@gmail.com. I have a website coming soon. I've been really busy creating this caregiver wellness program. So that's been something I've been working on. So I'm excited about that. And hopefully it will be up and running within the next month.
I
But
love
healthylivingnavigator@gmail.com is how people can connect with me.
Perfect. And I'll make sure that's in the show notes. And, you know, when this episode goes up, maybe your website will be ready to go too. So hopefully we can put that in the show notes as well.
Okay.
But Cathy, thank you so much. This, again, it was such a delightful conversation, and I really appreciate your time and your knowledge and your heart.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the invitation. This was a lot of fun for me too.
Hey.